Hi YouTube, this is We All Juggle Knives with the Victorinox Craftsman Swiss Army knife. This is one of the larger Swiss Army knives. This video is just going to be an overview and discussion of the Craftsman. Okay, and the tool set. Let's start with the big five. You have that traditional full flat ground Victorinox blade. Right, and over here you have the pliers, the scissors, the wood saw, and the metal file. And I've said this before about these bigger Victorinox knives. Probably about 80% of the usefulness of these knives is embodied in these five tools, right? And probably another 10% of the usefulness is just the various screwdrivers. You know, the cap lifter is nice, but if you're buying a Swiss Army knife of this size, you know, you're probably not buying it for the cap lifter, but these tools right here, just so freaking useful. Now, speaking of the screwdrivers, this has 4 of them, all right? Large flathead there, medium flathead that also works on some Phillips there, a smaller flathead, and a 3D Phillips. So a nice suite of 4 screwdrivers. Also, you have a smaller penknife blade there. There is no nail file on this tool. Right? And the cap lifter with wire stripper and the can opener. And rounding out the tool set with the rest of the ones on the back, you have a chisel. That is a chisel. Then you have the multi-purpose hook there. Then you have the reamer awl. In the handle scales, you have the toothpick, the tweezers, right? And there is a lanyard hole and key ring there. And one more, there's a space right there. There is a space for a straight pin, but it did not come with a straight pin, so I'm going to have to get one. All right, but the space for the straight pin. And that is all the tools on the Craftsman. Okay, so that is a pretty tight and efficient tool set. Is that what's missing? Well, the stuff this doesn't have, it does not have a corkscrew, but there is another model called the Handyman that's basically the same knife, but a corkscrew replaces the 3D Phillips, okay? But no, the Craftsman does not have a corkscrew, and as a result, the Craftsman does not have the micro screwdriver that fits in the corkscrew. So that does hurt a little. Other notable tools it does not have, that the Swiss Champ does have, the magnifying glass, it does not have a pen for the scales, and it does not have the fish scaler. Now this small tool here, it's a small flathead, but it is not as small as the micro screwdriver that is found on the Victorinoxes with a corkscrew usually. And I gotta say, I do think the micro driver is more useful than this small flathead, and I do think they should just thin this out and go ahead and make this a micro driver. So this tool set is really very comprehensive. Aside from the micro driver, there's not really much I can think of that I would necessarily want to add. Maybe a full-size serrated blade. You see this rescue style blade that Victorinox sometimes uses. This is on the Work Champ XL. Yeah, maybe if they could scale it down for this size and add a full-size like serrated rescue blade. That's really the only major tool that I could think of that I might want added to this if I had my way. Now for some size comparisons for you. This is a Swiss Champ, Victorinox Swiss Champ. This is my beloved Victorinox Ranger. Yes, the Ranger. You can check out my previous review of the Ranger. And yes, you guessed it, thicker than the Ranger, but thinner than the Swiss Champ is the Craftsman. So if you are considering a larger Swiss Army knife, hopefully this size comparison might help you decide. You know, a very good case could be made for any of these three. Me personally, I prefer the Ranger overall. However, it really depends how much you need those pliers. You know, depending on where you work, what you do, those pliers might be vital. Now, to me, if I'm really concerned about pliers, I will carry one of my multi-tools. Okay, so that's kind of where I fall on that. However, this is still much smaller than most of my multi-tools. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to decide, you know? It's like, how far will you go? I mean, if you're going to carry a pouch anyway, is this one really that much heavier that you wouldn't want to carry it? It's hard to say. For me personally, by removing the pliers from this, they remove an entire layer. Alright, so the pliers take up a lot of space on a Swiss Army knife. It takes up this whole layer and the whole slot too. There's not a shorter tool there. So yeah, for me, it is kind of worth it most of the time to remove that layer and go with this. But I can certainly see how people would choose this or the Swiss Champ. Okay, so a very impressive Swiss Army knife. Just such a tight and efficient tool set. They've really packed in a ton of functionality in the Craftsman model. And I would say if you're considering getting the Swiss Champ, maybe consider getting this, try this out first, and see if you miss anything that that's only on the Swiss Champ. You know, I don't think you're going to miss the fish scaler or the magnifying glass too much. And you know, this is not the Champ, but it's definitely a strong contender.